everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and this will be a review of the Season 2 premiere of Tulsa King. Now there may be spoilers throughout for this video, so just beware when going into this review, and you can check out my review of the first season of the show within the channel, and I'll leave some links within the description. So if for anybody who doesn't know by now, Tulsa King is a crime drama series created by Taylor Sheridan and is streaming on Paramount Plus, making its debut season way back on November the 13th, 2022. Season 2 of the series began on the 16th of September 2024. And its main distinction was being the first major television role for movie superstar icon Sylvester Stallone, who in the show plays aging gangster Dwight Manfredi, who was released recently after a long prison sentence. He looks to instantly reclaim his position within the New York mafia organization, but finds out that times have changed and that he's no longer worthy of the high position that he had before. Instead, he finds himself assigned to the quiet town of Tulsa in Oklahoma to earn for the crime family. But Dwight has his own ambitions to create his own empire. And just to quickly recap over the events of the previous season, at the end of the season 1 finale, we saw Dwight and his crew emerge victorious in a vicious battle against the McAdams gang, but a couple of months later, Dwight finds himself arrested by FBI agent Stacy, of whom he had a continually bond and relationship, and afterwards he finds himself charged for bribery. Now season 2 picks up shortly after those events, seeing Dwight returning to prison, but this stint doesn't last too long as his daughter interjects his court hearing and eventually bails him out. Something that I felt really was a bit too convenient in terms of story. I think it would have benefited far better if Dwight spent a bit more time in prison deliberating on how exactly he was going to get out of this situation. And after that situation, he basically comes out and goes about his business as usual, as what we saw within the previous season. He does reconcile with Stacy later on, but nothing really comes from it. He states that he has his respect for her, and I think again this was a bit of a disappointment. I think something like that you could have built up into much more of a pivotal and climatic moment between the two individuals. And at this stage, it really doesn't seem like there's any much point in keeping Stacy around as a character if they're not going to build any further development between her and Dwight. And to be honest, apart from that plot point, there wasn't really a lot more that happened throughout this episode. We had Dwight's crew scoping up various locations for their businesses and trying out different outfits and hanging out. We later on had the further development where we saw the appearance of Neil McDonough as Carl Fresher, who Dwight initially wants to impress and get involved within the marijuana business, but he's quickly dismissed. And I think overall I did like this scene because I think it potentially could set up Fresher as a major antagonist with a serious threat for the rest of the season. I thought it was well played between the two actors involved, and I hope that the show can really spend time building him as a major threat. After this scene, we saw him call Frank Grillo, also in the season, as a character named Bill, who will carry out further investigations into Dwight's actions. And as I mentioned before, that was really it in terms of the story, and to be honest, it wasn't really that eventful for a season opener. I think for any season, whether it's the second season or the 9th season of a show, you would want the opening episode to be much more lively, giving you plenty of surprises and twists and turns and plenty of things to look forward to for the rest of the season. I'm not really sure that this episode really did that, so in some aspects it was a bit disappointing. And I think when looking at Tulsa King, I think you have to appreciate it for what it is rather than what it sells itself out to be. Now on the outset, it sells itself as some sort of major gangster story, but when you really look at it, it's much more of a quirky comedic drama with elements of a gangster story in it. Now this could lead to certain tonal inconsistencies and sometimes can have good and bad points for the show. On the one hand, I think the show is very easily accessible and watchable. It's nothing too heavy-handed or convoluted here. This is something you can just switch on and be lightly entertained, as the tone itself, again, is nothing too threatening or overly serious. The show, of course, relies almost completely on the screen presence of Sylvester Stallone, and as last season, this has proven to be a great role for him, giving him much more range and freedom to exhibit much more of his natural charisma and personality, rather than being forced in the stoic action hero persona that has defined him and his legacy within movies. And once more in this episode, he's just great again Everything Dwight does and says just pulls you in and appeals you to the overall character. But one thing I would say is that as a character, Dwight almost has zero accountability. Despite not being the main head of the criminal organisation, he seems to have the freedom to just do whatever he wants, says whatever he wants, have unlimited funds. Any hint of jeopardy or a certain situation, he just gets out of it almost too quickly. And that does take away a lot of stakes and tension. Yes, this role gives Stallone the free canvas to fully inhibit this character. But I think to an extent, he's almost lent too much freedom. And that does take away any potential avenues in terms of storytelling or building the other characters. So hopefully this season, with the introduction of Neil McDonough's character, they can instill a bit more escalation into the show. As I mentioned in the first season, I think tonally there is slight imbalance. At times there were episodes where, yes, we were getting to much more of that serious, threatening, gangster style drama that I wish the show could be completely. But then we mixed that more again with much more of this humorous comedic style, much more of this almost 80s action type of comedy, especially as what we saw in the finale, in a climatic battle. And sometimes all of these elements together, they don't quite mesh completely. And I do think as the show goes on, it will eventually have to take a side as to where exactly it wants to go down. But for now, it does remain, as I said before, a very light, entertaining show. I will continue to keep watching it because, first off, I'm a major fan of Sylvester Stallone, and of course he is the major draw throughout the show. But I do see certain potential within Tulsa King, but I just think, again, there has to be a tonal shift or certainly a bit more seriousness added, as sometimes this story can just drift. We see characters travelling from this location, driving to that location, without not too much in terms of incidents or anything really to purely get invested in. So I think if they can introduce much more the criminal organisation elements and up the stakes in terms of Dwight and the situation he finds himself in, then Tulsa King still has that potential to become a high quality show and potentially even a truly great series if it can go past season 2 and beyond. So there's my overall thoughts and feelings and review of the opening premiere of Tulsa King season 2. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any other further movies, topics, or issues, television shows, or any other subjects that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, let me know within the comments and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves and I will see you very, very soon.